Hi there, Troop 947. It's Mr. Moore. It's form time, so I wanted to go over a little bit of information about forms. You're going to be getting an email with a request for forms to be turned in with a description of what the forms are and the form attached to the email so that you can fill them out and turn them in. I wanted to explain how we do what we do, why we do what we do, so that you understand, because each year we seem to have some trouble getting all of the forms turned in on time and all the appropriate copies made and turned in. So I wanted to, I guess, give a little bit more explanation in hopes that we can clear that up and not have any issues this year. So there are 3 forms that we turn in. The Scout information sheet is one of the forms. That is basically the basic information for your Scout and yourselves. So contact information for you, so that if we as adults are at a camp out or an activity and we have your Scout and you're not there and we need to get a hold of you, that contact information will go in the roster and all of the adults that are there will have access to that and we can get a hold of you. And in addition, there's also Scout information on that sheet, so that when we register your Scout for activities through the district or through the council or summer camps or any other places that they go, we have all the information that we need to be able to enter them, register them, without having to contact you every single time to get that information. So that is all extremely important information to fill in. If you don't have their BSA ID number for the Scout information sheet, let me know. I can tell you what it is, because I think I have everybody's ID card, and I can give that to you, and I can also give you the number if you don't have it. So fill that in, get that turned in. The other form that is an annual form that we turn in just through the troop is the permission slip. So we have an annual permission slip that basically grants your Scout permission to participate in the activities for the year. When I first started in the troop and my son was a new Scout, we actually had to do one of these permission slips at every camp out. So be grateful for the fact that you only have to do one a year. We have streamlined the process to make it so that you basically just have one that covers you for all of the activities for the whole year, and you just have to fill it in and turn it in at the beginning of the year, and that covers you for March through February. So get those turned in by February for the following year for your Scout to have permission to participate. Make sure you fill in all the information. It basically has where they would like to go, where you would like them to go if something happens, the preferred hospital and their insurance information and so forth. And then if your Scout is permitted to basically be administered Tylenol, ibuprofen, Benadryl, or Imodium at campouts, make sure you check the boxes yes or no so that we can do that. If you don't check the box and it's blank and something happens, then I have to call you in the middle of the night because your son has a headache and I don't know whether he's allowed to take Tylenol. You don't want to do that. So make sure you fill the boxes in and put their age and weight on that form. So that's the annual permission slip. Make sure you get those turned in. And then the third is our med form. So the med forms is probably the most elaborate and most complicated and also most confusing part of what we do, but it is absolutely necessary. We have to have your Scout's medical information with us so that if something happens, and that has happened, stuff happens, where we need to cipher through all of these forms, find yours or find your Scout's, determine if there's any allergies, any situations, any medical history that we need to be aware of so that we can react to the situation that's happening and be as efficient and quick as possible in taking care of them. So please make sure these are all filled out thoroughly. So here's how it works. We have three copies of forms that we're basically asking you to turn in. One for our binder that we take on our camp out. So this is our troop binder of all the med forms for all the Scouts. And then 2 copies of summer camp forms. So the summer camp forms are medical form parts A, B, and C with an insurance card. The part C is the doctor physical, doctor signature, doctor fill out, everything part. We have to have 2 copies of those when we go to summer camps, because the Scoutmaster for the week at summer camp has to have a copy of the full med form for each Scout with them at all times in case something happens. And then the Scout medical officer at the camp, at that camp, has to have a copy in their med office at all times too. So we have to have 2 copies. Please make sure you make the copies. Don't ask us to make the copies. You can imagine a adult who is volunteering to put all this together having to make copies of every single one of these for your Scouts is not fair. So make sure you make the copies, turn in the right number of copies, and then we'll have everything we need. Like I said, the way it works is parts A and B with your insurance card go with us in the binder to camp. This is in the trailer. It always stays in the trailer. We never get it out. You have to have A and B with the insurance card turned in, one copy for our binder. For summer camp, you have to have parts A, B, C, insurance card, 2 copies for each camp. So if your son is going to 2 camps, you have to have 4 copies. Always, always, always keep the original for yourself. So if something happens down the road, we lose a copy, you lose a copy, something happens, this thing goes up in flames, who knows what might happen, or your scout decides he wants to go to another camp, you want to have the original so that you can make another copy so that you can turn in the appropriate number of forms for that additional activity or whatever it is they want to do. So keep the originals, turn in the copies. When you're filling them out, I'm going to go over a little bit of information on the forms themselves just to make sure that you know which parts are important, which parts are critical that they're going to check. So, for instance, this box right here, right next to these 2 big exclamation points, it says, are there any restrictions to your son's participating in the activities? Make sure you mark that. If you don't mark that, then you're not saying that there's any restrictions, or there aren't. So we don't know. So that has to be checked. The summer camp will check it, and they won't let you participate unless it's checked. So if there are any restrictions, list them. In most cases, it's none, but just make sure you check the box. Scout has to sign it. You have to sign it. Fill in all the information. Part B, by the way, Part B is 2 pages. So remember that when you're turning in parts A and B, it's not just 2 pages. It's 3 pages total because there's 1 for Part A, 2 for Part B. See those 2 pages here, both Part B. And then Part C is another page where the doctor fills it out. So, and then your insurance card, we always have to have front and back copy. So back to Part B. Part B, you're going to fill in all the information. You're going to fill in the health history. This is what I was talking about. We want to know if there's any history that we need to be aware of, so if something happens, we can look it up really fast and know. And the summer camp people too. And then you want to list allergies and medications. So the allergies part, there's 4 areas. Make sure you're checking yes or no on all 4 of these. Not just the 2 on the left and skipping down and missing these. Make sure you're marking them all and give us a good explanation of any allergies, particularly serious ones. And then medications, you're going to basically check the box here, or if there are any medications routinely taken, whether that's over-the-counter allergy medicines or prescription medicines. You want to check the box if there's anything that they take on a regular basis and fill out what it is and why they take it and what the frequency is. And then always, 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 you have to sign this. So this is basically you're approving the adult leaders of the camp and or the troop to administer medicine to your scout. If you don't want us to, fine, don't, and mark it no, but you still have to sign it. You mark it yes, you mark it no, you still have to sign it. So make sure you sign it, and then this covers whether we can administer anything over the counter, anything prescription, anything medicine-wise to your scout. So fill that in. Immunization history is here. Make sure you fill those in as thoroughly as possible. Check with your doctor if you need to. And then also, like I said, both sides of your insurance card copied so that we can have all the information we need in case we need to take your son directly to the hospital or to a med center and give them the insurance card when they check in. They'll have to have that. So when you take your son to the doctor, make sure you have Part C for their physical. The doctor has to fill this in, check all the boxes, enter the data, and put their signature and their information on here. If they don't sign this and put it in information, then that's all just absolute, fabrication. According to the camp, they have to have the doctor's signature. So make sure your doctor signs. And again, after you have all that done, you're going to have 2 copies of A, B, and C with the med insurance card for summer camps, for each camp. And then 1 copy of just A and B with the insurance card for our binder, the big binder. So thank you very much. Hopefully this helps, and get those forms turned in.